My friends, welcome to Google Slides 101. In this quick lesson, I'm going to introduce you to some of the high points of Google Slides and why I think it's a great tool for teaching seminary. I want to share a disclaimer first of all. I am not a Google employee. I am not a Google Slides expert per se. You need a Google account. So to use Google Slides, you got to have a Google account. If you don't want to have one yet, it's really easy to set up. You can just go to google.com or go to Gmail, and it's very easy to create an account. If you need help with that, please let me know. But that's a basic. You got to have a Google account. Next, I'm going to give you an introduction to Google Drive and kind of walk you through that great tool, that great free tool that'll help you out in seminary. Then I'm going to show you Google Slides. We'll do a brief high-level introduction. Next, I'm going to go over some slide creation fundamentals. Then we'll go over design, templates, adding content, and then we'll go over some advanced features of Google Slides. So you have a Google account. The first thing you're going to do is go to Google Drive. When you have a whole lot of Google accounts, you might see something crazy like this where you have multiple options to log in to different accounts. I do recommend that you create an account for your seminary class to keep it separate from your personal files. Okay, you can just go and create a free Gmail account or Google account. I teach the Winder Seminary, and so I'm going to go into that account. And I'm actually in there right now. You can see I'm already in. So once you're in your Google account, you'll see in the top right corner, I do recommend using Chrome because that's the Google browser and it's the most functional for all the Google stuff. You'll see this little box here with lots of dots in it. And in this, you have all of your Google features. You know, Google owns YouTube. There's Google Play Store. There's a lot of fancy things in here, tons of free stuff we're not going to cover in this video. What you want to do is go to Google Drive. All right. So Google Drive gives you 15 gigabytes of free storage. That's right. Free, no strings attached. 15 gigs, which should be more than enough for your entire seminary calling, whether you teach for 1 year or 10 years. You can go to drive.google.com. You can use that address, or you can just go to your little waffle icon and go to Drive. When you go in there, you're going to start off with an empty folder. I have a lot of stuff because I've been teaching seminary for a year now. First thing I recommend doing is creating a folder for you to store your Google Slides in or your lessons. For the Winder Seminary class that I teach, I've got training, which is where I'm putting this video. I've got doctrinal mastery. I have a folder for seminary games, stuff I share, for music, for lessons, images, administration, templates. And these are just folders just like on a computer. And you can see you can organize these folders however you want to. It's really easy to do it. In fact, since this is a training, I'll go ahead and show you how easy it is. This is my Google Slides 101 training. You can just right click on your screen, or you can go up here and hit new. You can see file upload, folder upload, new folder, and so forth, okay? There's a whole lot of other options here too. So what you can do is go to new folder, name it whatever you want, and hit create, and there you go. You now have a new folder in your Google Drive that's stored in the cloud, and it's always gonna be there. So that folder is now created. Now let's go ahead and just show you how easy it is to create Google Slides. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give you some bonus content.
Bonus area.
Why not? There is a way, just so you know, there is a way for free you can get Drive for your desktop. And if you get Drive for your desktop, what this does is it will download an application to your computer. And I think it works with Mac and PCs. Yep, PC and Mac. It will actually allow you to sync your local files to your Google Drive so that even if you don't have internet at where you present your class or go to teach, this sync, this tool, this download, this Google Drive sync, it syncs up all your files so that you've got it both on the cloud and also in person. And I'll go ahead and show you how that's done. So in Google Drive, you can go ahead and install it. And when it's installed, so there's my Google Drive account, and you can see I've got my 3 different accounts all synced. What this does is it'll sync all your files. So you can see I've got here, I have my different accounts, and you can have your personal account, you can have your seminary account, and so forth. You can see the seminary account, I'm using 1.7 gigs at 15 gigs. You can go to my drive right here. It also can sync photos for you, and it also has the folder. And this creates, as I said, it creates a folder on your computer that contains all the same folders you have in your Google Drive. and it syncs. See the green arrow? It syncs all of them in real time. In fact, let me just test this out and see if it's accurate. You can see training, Google Slides 101, test and training slides. You can see that's the folder we just created. We just created it in the cloud through the internet on Google Slides, and it's already synced to my computer. Now, this is going to be a game changer for you. Again, if you don't have reliable internet, it also creates a redundant automatic backup copy of everything in Google Drive on your local machine and vice versa. If you set it up to sync, which is the default setting, it will replicate everything on your computer with everything on Google Drive, and it's going to be in both places all the time. So it's just a lifesaver. It makes life so much easier. And you can see here, for example, here's my lessons that I've been doing recently. I can open them up on my computer because it's fully synced to my local hard drive. I can open it up on my computer and use it even when I'm off, when it's offline. That answers a question that someone else in the seminary group said. So anyway, Google Drive, it's really fantastic. I just can't say enough good things about it because it's free. Microsoft also has OneDrive. You can do Microsoft, but what I've learned just from being an IT guy for so long, Google was built natively in the cloud. Google Drive and all the Google apps were built in the cloud, so they all work fully in the cloud. Microsoft doesn't work fully in the cloud. Office 365, which I use at work, and it's really good, their cloud version of Excel doesn't have the same functionality of the desktop version. And their cloud version of Word doesn't have the same functionality of the desktop version. So one nice thing about Google Slides and Google is that it's all the same in both places. All right, so back to where we're at. When you're in your Google Drive, and again, you're gonna wanna create your own folder structure, whatever makes sense to you, and these folders will all be there, and you can sync them to your computer using that Google Drive app I just showed you. Again, you go to the gearbox, you can hit Get Drive for Desktop. Really easy peasy, and allows you to have an offline copy. Now you can go to New, and when you hit New, as we showed you before, you can do a new folder, you can do a new file upload. So file upload, you can select anything from your computer, and if you upload a Word document or a PowerPoint or so forth, it will keep it in that format, and Google can actually open up Microsoft formats, and it's still functional. You can upload images, PDFs, all kinds of stuff. Very easy. I'll just show you this. President Nelson on Twitter studies a PDF. I can upload it. You can see it uploads instantly, and there it is. Now, what's great about that is when you upload files into Google Drive, you can right-click on them. I'll just show you what it looks like. This is the handout I just did. So I can go in and open it with Google Docs, and it opens up right on the cloud. Interesting. So this is here's a little bonus fact. Area. You can open up PDFs in Google Docs, and it will do what we call OCR, optical character recognition. It has actually opened it up, and it has pulled out all of the text in a PDF, which historically you had to have PDF Writer for. You can see it's a PDF stored, and I can easily share it. One of the best things about Google Drive is you can share it so easily. So if you go into share, you can go and hit share, and you can share it with certain people. By default, when you upload or create anything in your Google Drive, it's going to be restricted so that nobody can open it at all. Only people that you add. So you can either add people here. This is my co-teacher. You can add people at the top, and it'll send them an invite to access your drive or folder, and you can control it down to individuals. Or you can use this option and say anyone with the link, and there's 3 options here. There's viewer, commenter, and editor. So if you want to share a lesson or share a handout or share whatever with your class or with the parents or whatever, you can choose to just send a link out. And if they have viewer access, it allows them to open it and see it, but they can't modify it. That's what I mostly use when I share my content in our Facebook group and online, because that way everybody else can see it. They just can't change mine before I teach. Commenter is another option, and it allows them to make comments on your files. And then there's editor. If you give them editor access, they can open it up and do everything you can do. They can change everything. So make sure if you're doing that, it's someone you want to be able to modify your content. And so a co-teacher, make sure that they might need editor access. Those are the 3 options: viewer, commenter, and editor. And there's another thing I want to show you. Again, here's this gearbox at the top. So if you go to settings, there's 2 checkboxes. There's editors can change permission and share. So that means if you share it and give them an editor access, Do you want them to be able to change permissions and share your stuff, or do you not want that? You can choose by checking that box. The other option is really an important one. Viewers and commenters can see the option to download, print, and copy. So this one, if you uncheck it, they can only view it. They cannot download a copy. They cannot print it, and they cannot copy it, with this caveat. Anytime you share something, they can always take a screenshot. If they have this on their computer, they use Snagit, they use the built-in snipping tool, they can always screenshot your stuff, okay? So if you give them view access, they will have the ability to view and take screenshots and use that. So hopefully you just make sure you know that when you're sharing your content. Then it's as easy as copying the link. So if you copy the link, it's going to give you a URL like this. I'll open this up in another tab. And then people can click on the link and it goes directly to your file, and they have the option to download it, copy it, and so forth. Okay, so that's Google Drive. That's how to upload a file. And again, you probably want to upload your file to your specific folder. You can also move it. So once a file is uploaded, you can move it, you can download it, you can rename it, you can make a copy, you can share it. That's what we were just covering, how to share it. You can also organize it. You can move it or provide a shortcut, and you can also see some information on it. And this is one thing that's really cool, is manage versions. So every time the file is modified, you can see here in the notes, every time the file is modified, you can always go back and get a previous version. You can see it's up to 100 versions are stored. All right. So that's really quick file uploads, and that gives you a good idea of Google Drive. So when you go to new, you can create a file upload. You can also upload an entire folder, same principle. If you want to upload your stuff, you can just select the entire folder and upload that. You can also create Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, and Google Forms. And again, this is a Google Slides lesson, so I'm not going to cover the other ones. I'll just tell you they're all great and they're all free, and maybe we'll cover this in a later lesson. If you want me to, let me know and we can go over that. So let's go ahead and create a new Google slide, but I don't want to create it at my base level. I want to create it here in my training folder. So go into the folder you want to create it in, and I'll set new, Google Slides. Create in a shared folder. So if you share a folder, anything that you create inside of that shared folder is automatically shared with the same people you shared the folder with. So when you first create your first Google slide, you're going to come up with this. And this is just a basic presentation, no bells and whistles, nothing fancy, and that's okay. It's a good starting point. On the right, you're going to see a lot of themes here. You hit these themes, they all have different fonts, they all have different backgrounds, just like PowerPoint. If you're familiar with PowerPoint, you can just select them and boom, there you go, you got a theme. And when you can go in here and you can right click and you can hit new slide, and it'll keep with the theme and create these other slides. When you create additional slides, you can go up here at the top, you can see background, and you can either change a background color, you can do a solid color, you can also do a gradient and make it really pretty if you want to, and you know, these different gradients. You can also choose an image. So if you have an image that you want to be the background, here's one, boom. Here's one. Robert D. Hales is one I was using in my lesson next week. So you can upload an image, just note that it's going to reformat it to the dimensions of your background. So you can choose an image. That's the background option. You can really personalize it to your needs. I'm going to reset it back to white. The layout. So with the layout built into Google Slides, there's a lot of traditional layouts. There's the title slide, the section header in your groups, title and body. You have one that you make a big point. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it will automatically change your format based on whatever layout you choose. Okay, that's very easy to use. You can customize it. There's also a theme. So the theme is the design here, and the theme dictates not only your font color and your slide, but it also controls a lot of other defaults and standards, including all the designs of your sub slides. So those are all part of the theme, and then transition. So between all the slides, you can choose, the transition between the slides like a slideshow. There's a few options here. PowerPoint honestly has a lot more options, but it's a paid-for product. I generally go with fade. Fade is simple, and you can apply to all slides. Then you can hit play if you want to see what it looks like. Cube's a little bit fancier. You can see when you do cube, it actually rotates the screen. You can spice it up if you want to. I'm simple. I do fade for all of mine. The important thing here is apply to all slides. If you don't do this, you're going to have to manually do your transition on every slide. And whatever you apply to all slides, when you insert new slides, it will inherit that same transition. Let's go ahead and go through the menu here. You can see there's a lot of options here. It's, as I mentioned before, You can easily copy your entire presentations. This is what I was talking about with Google Slides. You can actually go back, and when you create a template or create a model for other lessons, then you can just copy the entire presentation and you can reuse it again and again and again. As I mentioned, there's another place to share it, same as before. You can actually publish it to the web as a web page if you wanted to. You can email it to people. You can download it. And this is what I was talking about. You can download it as a Microsoft PowerPoint. If you do that, then it will change it. And it does do a good job of keeping most of the animations and most of the content. But videos that are online, those get lost. Some things, if it's online, you might lose some of that. So you're going to want to test it after you download it. I don't know what an ODP document is. I think it's an open source. PDF you're probably familiar with. It's a static file type, plain text, JPEG, PNG, images. These are image files. And then SVG as another image type. Most often you're going to use PowerPoint most likely, or PDF. So you can download it as those options. You can rename it to a few other options here. This is one of my favorite things about Google Slides, which I'm going to show you really quick. Google Slides, you can go into version history and you can see version history. And what Google Slides does, which I think is still superior to Microsoft, is every single time someone makes a change, you can see who made the change if you're requiring logged in accounts, and you can revert back to any point in time. So I've had multiple situations where I have lost data or someone's messed up my stuff in the past, and you're able to go back in. You can see these changes. This is back when we had that slide where Robert E. Hales is the background. You can instantly go in and restore this version or make a copy. So it's very easy to revert your work, or it's very easy to restore work that you might have lost. It's so gosh darn easy. And did I mention free? It's free. I love that. Make available offline. So if you're not using the Google Drive app like I showed you a minute ago to sync all the files, make available offline will actually go in and create a local copy of it so you can present from it using the Google Slides app in your classroom without internet. Obviously, you've got your language and some other options here, and you can print it out as well. Now, one of the things that people have been confused by, if you share it in view-only mode, then they still have the option, unless you uncheck the box I showed you a minute ago, they have the option to make a copy of the entire presentation. So even if it's a view-only mode, you can make copies. So if someone shares it with you, you can make a copy, unless they uncheck that box that we covered a minute ago. Okay, so obviously the name of the presentation, we're going to call this one test. And I'll go into edit. And you can see there's some edit options, pretty standard stuff. You can change your view. I don't use a lot of these. You can build your own theme. I do recommend that. If you want to create your own theme, you can create your standard font types and looks and feels and backgrounds. You can create all your custom stuff if you want to do your own template. I personally like to use other people's stuff. There's other options here for view. When you're presenting, you can do full screen. Obviously, you want to present full screen when you're teaching a lesson. There's insert, which we'll cover in a few minutes. And then there's format. This is just changing, obviously, the formatting of the page. Arrange. This allows you to put some images in front of others, or also to center on the page or rotate. We'll use that in a few minutes. And there's all kinds of tools here. There's a spell check. There's a few other things here. And then, of course, extensions. Extensions are really advanced. We're not going to get into that. There's tons of add-ons you can use. Some are free, some are paid. But this is just all the basics of Google Slides. Let me get back to what we were talking about a minute ago. So let me see where it is. One of the things that can happen, and when you open up too many slides, you can get lost in the slides. Here we go. Here's the one. So I covered introduction to Google Drive, introduction to Google Slides, fundamentals, design, templates, adding content. So with the design, I did touch on that. You know, that's just the templates. You can create. It's our test file. You have your default templates. You can go into the design tab, and you can apply a layout or the theme or change the theme. Again, these are all the built-in themes. All of these are pretty vanilla. So say you want to have a more fun theme. So the one that I have, this one, I actually got off the internet. I'll show you how easy it is to find a new theme. So if you go to Google and just type in free Google slide template for teachers. There you go. Slides Go is pretty good. So I like Slides Go. They do limit you to so many per month, but you can see this is literally free. You can find an example that you like. You can open it up. You can even preview it. And that looks good. at that. That's so darn handy. And then when you want to, you can download it. You can actually get it pretty easy. Again, be careful when you're out there. There are unsafe sites. Slides Go, I've never had a problem with, but there are unsafe sites as well. So if you come down to this part, that's add. See down here, download this template. So we'll say Google Slides. You can also do it in PowerPoint if you want. And ask, do you want to make a copy? And I said yes. And there you go. That is how easy it is to benefit from someone else's work. You can actually take their template and there you go. So now it's got the slides. I can edit away. I can do whatever I want to. Oops, I'm a little crazy there. So it's so easy, guys. This is why I love Google Slides. You can easily create these templates. And you can change it. Obviously, this background's green. Not a fan of that green. Go in there. I'll change the background. Let me go this dark blue. Boom. Done. But you can see that you can very easily bring in other templates and save yourself tons and tons of time and money. So that's how easy it is. So Slides Go is a good one. I do recommend Slides Go. There's other ones out there you can go to that We Are Teachers, Slides Carnival. Just be careful. Be smart about it, right? Look for anything. Don't give them your information. Don't pay for anything. Just be careful. Slides Go, I'm going to recommend that one. That should be enough if you want to find some other templates. That's where I got the one I'm using. This one is from Slides Go. All right, so back to the plan. The plan. Okay, so Google Slide Creation Fundamentals. So I just covered templates, so adding content. Let's go back to our test. So here we have our test, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these. I want a blank page. In fact, one of the most basic ones you can do, I'm going to go ahead and insert a new slide. If you go to Template, right-click on it. I'm going to apply layout. I just want a blank slide. Blank slides are simple, keep things clean. Let's go to Insert. Let's talk about what you can insert into your slide. So you can upload from your computer. You can upload images and so forth. I'm going to upload. I got some GIFs here. Let's start off with GIFs. I found this Share Bear GIF. So you can instantly upload it, and it's fully functional there. You can resize it and so forth. And resize it. You can animate it. I'll cover animation later on. But it's very easy to upload. That's a GIF. Let's upload something else. Let's upload from my computer an image. I actually have a pictures folder. I do recommend being organized. So I have a pictures folder where I store all my pictures I download. And you see the GIF type. I'm going to do Moses and the Brazen Serpent. There you go. Upload another image. Again, very easy to resize and so forth. In fact, I'm going to show you just how to modify an uploaded image. So I've uploaded this image. I'm going to put it in the middle of the screen. You can drag the mouse over until you see those lines, and that tells you where the middle of the screen is. You can also, of course, go up to a range, and you can center on page, horizontal and vertical. You can also rotate. So this little icon here lets you rotate if you want to. Very easy to do. So now, if you go to your image, you can right-click on it. You can crop it. You want to obviously select a larger or smaller part of it. Just focus on the Brazen Serpent itself. Oop. Be careful about that. So then I'll hit crop again. And I've cropped now just the Brazen Serpent. Of course, you can always undo because Google Slides saves everything in real time. So I just undid it. Let's do some other things. So if you go to the top and you see where it says Format Options, you have all these options, and you can mess around with these. You can resize it. You can adjust it. You can move it around. You can recolor it if you want to. You can obviously you can make it black and white. You can, give a theme color. You're trying to go with blue. Whatever you want to do, it's very simple to do. And of course, you can always undo. Now, adjustments. This is one I do use sometimes. Opacity. So you can go and change the opacity, which let me go ahead and insert some text here. So if I put in a text box and I put in test, and let's just blow it up. Here's the font button size. I'll go in there and I'll hit test. Now, so I'm done there. You see my opacity is dark, but if I put it behind, if I put the test right here, right now, it's still in front of the image. So you can just go click on text. I'm going to hit arrange, order, send to back. And now you can see that this opacity allows you to see through it. And if we increase or decrease the opacity, you can see we can actually cover up the text. So opacity, very simple, very straightforward. If you want to mix images and text, if you want to mix images, you can do it very easily with opacity. You can also adjust the brightness of your image. You can go super bright or super dark. Pretty self-explanatory, and also contrast, all right there in the picture format. So you can really personalize those. I'm going to undo all this and go back to my original image. So undo. I'm hitting Control Z, by the way. Control Z is really handy for undoing things. You can also, of course, hit the undo up here. Undo up here. There we go. Back to our original image. So again, back to format options. You got size and rotation. You've got your recolor. You've got your adjustments. You also have drop shadow, pretty straightforward. You can create a little shadow on the image. It can look cool. You can create a reflection, which creates a separate copy of it. And you can put text underneath or a caption. So those are all things you can do with an uploaded image. So that's just 2 things we've covered so far. Let's go ahead and insert some more. Insert. So we covered image. You can search the web. This is okay. So if we search the web, you're going to get the built-in Google search. For some reason, it's kind of limited what it can do. You're not going to find nearly the wealth of content if you search inside of Google Slides as you do outside of it. But when you can just find content and you can just drag and drop it over, you can see how easy that is to create new images. You can drag them directly into your slide from Google Images. Personally, I generally have a separate window open for Google Images search, and I will just drag it over. But it's just so easy to do. Let me just show you again. So over here, I have here's just an empty browser window. I'll go into Google, and I will search for, let's say, Lamb of God. Oh, misspelled it. And we'll go to Images. Wow, there's a band called Lamb of God. I did not know that. Interesting. I like this image. So let me show you how easy it is with Google Slides. I'm going to have to rearrange things so you guys can see both at the same time. But I have my deck over here. I just found my image on the left that I want. Can I drag and drop it over? I can. Now notice if you drag and drop an image over an existing image, it'll actually format the new image to fit in the same space of the old image. See how that works? So this time I'm going to drag and drop it over this white space, and now it brings over the entire image, and there you go. So we just dragged and dropped this image directly off the internet into our document. Now, I'm not going to go a lot into copywriting in this lesson, but essentially, if you're using stuff for educational content and you're not selling it, which as seminary teachers, we don't make any money and we're not selling stuff, you're safe. You're protected by copyright law for the most part. No, I'm not a lawyer. Don't quote me on this. But essentially, I've used tons of content and you're going to be safe. So that's the easy thing to do. One of the things you're going to notice in Google Image Search, let me add Jesus to clarify this. So one of the things you're going to notice in a Google Image Search, sometimes you can drag and drop it over, how easy that was. Other times you can't. And this is one thing that's really weird. So there's this thing called WebP. You can see this is very easy to drag and drop. Sometimes you can't drag and drop it over. And the way I get around that is you can open it up. Sometimes if you go to the site, then you can copy it from the site. Your other option is, if it won't let you copy it or it's a WebP image which you can't use, all you got to do is go in there and use your snipping tool and just do a screenshot of the image itself. And sorry, okay, so then I got my image in my snipping tool, and now I want to put it back on my slide. You can see I'm putting it in my slide. Isn't it cool though how it automatically spaces everything out? That's just so super smart and easy. So that's how you can insert an image a few different ways. So again, images, you can search the web, you can go to your Google Drive, you can store images there, you can go into your photos. URL you can do as well. I wouldn't worry about that one today. And you can also use your camera. I don't ever use those features. Text box is pretty straightforward. You can insert a text box anywhere on the page and start typing in it. That's pretty straightforward. Next, with insert, audio. So with audio, you can really only do it from your drive. And that's why I created this music folder. So in your music folder, you're going to want to upload some of the music you use very often. I also have a sound effects one that I use in some lessons to spice it up. You can see here. So you can play that. It creates this icon, and then when you start automatically, adjust the volume. I usually hide the icon when presenting, and you can loop the audio so it keeps on playing. But it's easy to insert online audio. Again, with Google, it's not as friendly. It's not really designed for offline. You're going to lose some functionality if you try to do it offline. But with music that's online, you can go to your drive. You can see that was a sound effect. I can also bring in music and insert music into the slide, as long as it's on Google Drive. So very straight, very simple, it's limited. Again, PowerPoint, more functionality, but not free and not as easy. All right, next, video. Okay, this is something I use all the time. A big limitation of this, the Google Drive, I've tried inserting videos before with Google Drive, and it never works. Really annoying, it never works. It never works right. I've tried it. But on YouTube, you can either search all of YouTube. So I usually search for LDS. Let's do LDS seminary video. Okay. So you can search for it, and you can find a lot of videos. Or if you found the video you want on YouTube, let's bring over another tab here. Let's go to YouTube. You can actually find the video you want. LDS video seminary. So you can come in here. Oh, that's a classic. I remember that one from back in the day. That was really good. Good stuff. That was a good video. You can actually copy the URL at the top. You can go in here and you can hit enter, and it will find the video, and you can insert videos directly into your slides. Now, I'll go ahead and start a new one here, just so we have a blank one. And I'll bring that over here. So once you put it into your slide, what you're going to want to do, I generally play mine full screen, depends on how big your classroom is, I guess. But I usually use my full screen, so I just want to drag this over and pop it out full screen. Then with a manual play, I generally hit play automatically. And one of the things I recommend whenever you're creating slides, just test it once in a while. So I go to slideshow and see if it's working. And it's working, so I know it's working. So one of the great things about Google Slides is that you can go in and actually start your videos at a certain time and end at a certain time. So maybe you don't want to show the entire seminary video or the entire clip, so you can actually tell it when to start. So you can start, this is in seconds. I'll start at 10 seconds this time. And 18 minutes, our lessons aren't even that long. We don't have time for that. So I'm going to end it at 20 seconds. All right, so let's go ahead and try it out. Classic. You see how it stopped automatically? So there you go. That's how it adds videos very quickly and easily in Google Drive. Very, very simple. All right, next thing we're going to insert is shape. Obviously, this is straightforward. You can use animations. You can make things look really cool. If you want to point things out, you can do a shape. Up here, you can see the fill. I like to do gradient fills with my shape. I choose a gradient. Let's do this one. And then I'm going to add a drop shadow here. And you can see we can rotate it and so forth. So you can add shapes to your slides to make a point very simply and quickly. That's easy to do. And also the shapes by default, you can type in the shape. So you can type it and you can resize it and so forth. So that's a shape. What else can we do? Tables. So you can quickly insert a table if you want to do a comparison or so forth. It'll just very quickly put a table in there for you. And of course, you can format that and make everything the way you want it. You can do a header row, and you can make the header row of a certain color. I want to do a fill color, so I'll choose a fill color of orange. I'll do a text color of white. And let's do this versus that. So very easy to insert a table directly in there. Other items, chart, you can do a chart. We don't use this as much in seminary. I really haven't used charts in seminary. Obviously, you can refer to a table, and this is a link chart. You can point to a Google Sheet and other things. Again, we don't do a lot of data and metrics in seminary, so I don't use that one very often, if ever. charts. You can do diagrams as well, and create different illustrations, kind of like in Google and PowerPoint. You can create a different order, make things really spicy and nice. Word art, it looks pretty basic, but you can actually start off with this. Then you can go to format options and you can make it look cool. You can make it pop. You can change all your font colors, all that good stuff if you want to make things really, really pop. So that's all the inserting. Is there any more comments? Comments are really if you want to talk on someone else's page. You can add new slide and slide numbers. If you want to show your slide numbers, then you can apply them in the bottom right corner. If you want to show that, it'll automatically number all your slides for you. Let's see how we're doing on this training. Next, adding content, creating templates, animations, transitions, etc. So I jumped around today. I do apologize. I probably need to get more practice at this and get better at it. But if we go back to it, animation. So say, for example, you want this to fade in. By default, when I hit slideshow, everything on the page is going to be loaded automatically. That's the default. Say, for example, I want to start off with this one. Then you just hit animate. And by default, it's going to do an appear on click. And there's a few different animations. You can do flies and fades and zoom in and zoom out and spins, just like PowerPoint. I usually just do fade in or appear if I'm in a rush. And you can adjust how fast you want it to happen. So now that I'm hitting fade in, I'm going to do it on click. You can see that one doesn't show up until I screen, and there it fades in. That's a pretty simple one. Let's add another one. So this lamb, I want to add an animation. I want it to zoom in, and I want it to be really slow. Maybe you want them to guess what your image is in class. So I'm going to do a really slow one. See if they can guess it, and let's hit play. So there you go. That's animations in a nutshell. On the right side, you can reorder things. If you want to rearrange things or reorder things, they're very easy to do. And at the top, you can see the slide transition. Because I'm doing a slide transition, I don't have to edit a lot of my fonts and text because it's already part of the slide transition. So that's really easy to do. So that's kind of an introductory how to insert items on a Google slide deck. I've covered the arrangement and everything else. If I go to tools, you can obviously have a dictionary. You can do links and fancy things. We're not going to do any of that. This is just for teaching seminary. So after all of that, I'm going to jump over here to, this is the slide deck that I use, and I'll just show you how I use it. So I like these very simple texts with big fonts, and you can change your font to whatever you want. I use Poppins. I found Poppins is my favorite font. Palatino, if I change this to Palatino, you might recognize Palatino. Palatino is the church's font. It's very similar to what the church's official font is that they use for a lot of church content. So I want things to look just like they're from the church. Then I use Palatino. Again, Poppins is a rule. You probably don't want to mix too many fonts in your lessons. It can be confusing. But those are just some basic fonts that you use. You can always add more fonts if you want to. But once you've got your font picked up, you can change the color at the top. You can do highlighting. You can change the highlights if you want to make a point. You can change font colors as well. What I like to do when I teach a lesson is if I'm sharing a lot of text, I like to highlight key phrases. All right, so you can just highlight key things in the text. And that's very easy to do. So that's pretty much what I've got in my seminary template. You see my template. This is the one I use. I just spiced up the intro for the morning, and actually I have this set up to play right now. When people come in, it plays the seminary theme song music automatically. So it's a great prelude music for us starting. It's a fun welcome screen to get them excited about class. And then we go into our opening routine, the announcements, devotionals, opening prayer, and pass the torch, which is when the president hands it off to the teacher. And then we have our different sections. I have a title, and then I start off with a story. I just have these templates. You can start off with whatever you want to. Obviously, use the lesson material as a key reference. And then these backgrounds. So this is a background I chose. This is nice because I actually use the background feature, and I found an image of scriptures in the background, and that's what I'm using for these. So this image, it doesn't not modified when I move things around. This is what I use for my scripture references, And again, you can customize this to your need, but you want to create some default slides with content. This is one of my quote slides on the left. I also have a quote slide on the right, right here, just to keep it fresh. And you can see there's a lot of different examples here if you want to have objects. And so it's very easy to do when you're teaching a lesson or putting a lesson together. You can just copy these slides up to your body, and then once you copy them up, you can just fill them out right there. Now let me show you what I do just to save you time. So I'm working on a seminary lesson right now. Actually, I'm working on some things for next week, and I'll pull up the seminary lesson. And I'll go ahead and resize my screen again so you can see both at the same time. So this is the New Testament Seminary Manual. And like you can see here on the left, I have the manual. Let's come and see. John 1:3-5. So what you can very easily do to bring over that content is you find the content you want. Here's a great quote from President Nelson. Okay, great. So I'll take my quote slide and I'll pop it up here. And you see there's the quote slide. Let me hide that. And I will come over here and I'll copy his entire quote. Now, here's a key thing you want to watch out for. You want to right click. If you want to keep your same formatting, choose paste without formatting or Control-Shift-V. That will keep the formatting that's in your deck and not overwrite it. If you don't do that, then you hit paste, then it just adds this in. It'll paste whatever it saw in the sheet, and it won't always look as good. So I will paste without formatting, and then I'll resize. So the easiest thing to do is just use the minus until it fits. And again, sometimes it includes these little pieces, so you can clean it up a little bit. I don't know why it does the little dashes. That's kind of weird. So I have the quote. So that's one that you can do. The other lesson pieces, you can actually pull things over directly, as I said, from the lesson material. And again, these should be based off the lesson. This just makes it easier. It doesn't replace the lesson. But you can just paste without formatting. And then you just rearrange and customize to your needs. And there you go. It's very easy to use the lesson material in your presentation. It's copying and pasting from the slides the parts that you want to use. The only caveat is these videos, you can't really add these videos directly into your slide decks. And so what you want to do those is you have to go to YouTube actually. So you want to find out the name of the video. And then if you go to YouTube, 99% of the church's videos are also on YouTube. So you just find it. And here it is, examining with an internal perspective. And that's the link you can use. So just as we showed you before, insert video. And there you go. And there's your video from YouTube in your lesson. And one of the things we haven't covered yet, and I'll cover really quick, is GIFs. How do you add fun GIFs? How do you make it entertaining? And I use two websites for this. Both, again, are free. The first one I recommend is jiffy.com. And the second one is tenor.com. Both of these, you can find GIFs for free. So whatever you're giving a lesson about, like you could say, wow, look at the wow expression. And it's going to show you a few different examples of wow. Obviously, some of these are inappropriate to use in the seminary. So I would, obviously, you got to be very selective and you got to filter things out. I try to avoid political things and avoid insensitive things. This is a fun one. This is directly from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, a good wow expression you can use in your lesson if you're teaching about an interesting topic. And you can just drag and drop it over into your lesson directly. And then, of course, resize and so forth, recenter. Very easy to do. And that's it. That's how easy it is to import GIFs. I'll go to Tenor and let's do a search for studying. And lots of examples here. I've used this one before. It's a cute one. So the book, maybe the kids are tired of reading. Again, drag and drop. Easy peasy. It's in your lesson. As long as you have internet connection, those all work. If you don't, you want to download them and use them on your computer. That's how to add GIFs. Let's go back to the original lesson outline. Make sure I caught everything. creating templates, animations, transitions. I caught everything. So I'm probably going to break this video up to a few. There's a lot of content in one place. But I hope you find this helpful. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know.